To unlock educational access to the Autodesk products, we must first of all create an Autodesk ID and then verify it. To do this, we go to the autodesk.com/education site. It's important to note that if you already have created an Autodesk ID, you can select the Sign In option instead. To unlock the access, simply select the Get Started button from the main screen. To get the educational benefits, we must specify the country of our location, the educational role, and also the institution type. First of all, selecting the country, I'm going to choose in this example the United States. Then as my educational role, selecting the drop-down, I'm going to say that in this instance I'm a student. We can then specify the institution type. Selecting the drop-down, we can either choose from a high school or a university option. It's important that you choose the correct option at this stage. In this example, I'm going to choose university and post-secondary. We then must specify our date of birth. Once we've applied all the correct information, we can then select the Next button. This will then take us into the Create Account screen. Here we must specify our first name, last name, and we also must specify our university or school email address. Simply fill out the Create Account screen as required. Once we've added the correct information, we can then agree to the Autodesk Terms of Use and Privacy Statement. Selecting this checkbox, we can now select Create Account. Once we have created the account, we must verify this via the email that we will receive. Selecting the email we have just received from the verification account, we can select this email and then choose the button to verify email. Selecting verify email will now complete the process. We can now agree to the subscription terms, then click Done. We have just one more step to complete where we have to specify the information about our educational institute. You can start typing and this will automatically populate a list of the drop-down of the educational institutes. Here I'm going to choose Stanford University. Selecting this option will then automatically populate the institutional information. We can then choose the area of study. In this example, I'm going to choose Architecture, Engineering and Construction. We can then specify the enrolled from and the graduate in months. It's important to note that the enrolled from must be a date that is past. Here I'm going to select September, then choose the year 2020. I'm now going to specify that I'm going to graduate in June 2023. Once we've completed all the information, we can now click Next. This has now automatically set up our account for education access. Selecting Continue to finalise the process. You will now notice that we are signed into the education website and we are now prompted that we must still confirm our eligibility for educational access. To do this, we can simply select the Get Started button. In this screen, we can now verify and confirm all the information we have added is correct. It's a good idea to double check that the email address that you are using is the correct university or school email, that your name, country and region, institution type, the educational institution name and the date of birth are correct. Please also ensure that the spelling of your name is correct and matches that of your proof of identification. It cannot be changed at a later date once we select the Confirm option. Once all the information is confirmed and correct, select the Confirm button to continue. We must now upload a copy of documentation which has been issued to you by the educational institution. This can be a tuition receipt or a student ID or an employee ID. As shown on screen, the areas marked in bold text must be included on the document that you upload. In this instance, it must include my full legal name. It must also have a copy of the educational institute. In this instance, this would be Stanford University. It must also then include a date within the current school term. It's important that the information you provide when creating your Autodesk account is accurate and matches the information held by your qualified educational institution. Example documentation that could comprise the following and must include the information detailed above. When uploading the copy of documentation, we could use the following, but it must include detailed information as we have outlined. This could be in the form of a registration receipt, a tuition receipt. We can also use a student ID. For a student ID, a photo is not required and can be excluded. However, the dates must be included. An official letter from the educational institution can also be included. A transcript, employee ID or link to a faculty listing on a school website can also be used. A photo is also not required for this instance. Whilst at this stage for additional documentation, you will note that you have 14 days to upload the proof of documentation. After a period of 14 days, your request for eligibility will expire. To reset the process to confirm your eligibility, you'll need to visit the Autodesk Education community and click the Get Started button. Once we are happy we have the required documentation, we can now select the Drag Documents here or the Browse button to upload the JPEG, PDF, PNG or GIF image. Once uploaded, we can then choose the Submit button to submit this request. This will then complete the process for additional documentation. For support on everything around this process of verification, you can go to the autodesk.com/education/support site. Scrolling down this page, this will show you have the Learn More option to learn more about the process, and also 3 Get Started videos which guide you through the account creation, get products and how to renew access.